Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Unbalanced with me, Cerys Davage. Hope you're all doing well. I'm really trying to because I can feel a cold coming on and the weather is grim outside today. I feel like I always start every episode with just a little weather update, and I can safely say that autumn is here, or as you Americans call it, fall. Cozy season is here, and as much as I hate this time of year, I'm really trying to embrace it and trying to be cozy. But I'm going to stall it a little bit because by the time this episode comes out, hopefully my cold will be gone, but who knows. But I'll be in sunny Gran Canaria with Tristan, so I guess I'm just going to be enjoying the sun for a bit, but it's definitely going to be a shock when I come back. LGMD Awareness Day was obviously recently, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support over on my Instagram for all the content that I did for the Awareness Day, and also for the podcast with my sisters. The feedback was absolutely amazing and I knew you guys would like them. It was an absolute pleasure to record with them, and I'm just so glad that you guys felt the same way about listening to it. So thank you so much for all your support. If you don't already follow the podcast on the platform you're listening, it's a good idea to do so because then you won't miss when a new episode comes out. So make sure that you are following the podcast and that you're pressing the little bell next to it so that you're notified every time a new episode comes out, because the last thing you want is to miss out on a new episode of Unbalanced, right? If you rate this podcast 5 stars, that really means a lot to me. It really helps me out and helps me grow as a podcast. So I would really appreciate if you followed and rated this podcast 5 stars on your podcast platform. But if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and like the video as well, because that really helps me out. I have loved seeing you guys' content on LGMD Awareness Day. There was so much out there, like honestly so many people sharing their stories for the first time, or sharing videos of things that they've achieved or things that they've learnt growing up with LGMD, and it's just been absolutely amazing for me to see, because most of us grew up in our conditions alone. Most of us didn't know anyone else, didn't have anyone else to relate to, and now there's this whole community that we can relate to and share stories with and just know that we're not alone, and that's the most important thing. So as much as having LGMD is a pain and we all wish we didn't have it, I can't sugarcoat it, it is absolutely horrible sometimes, but this LGMD Awareness Day really means a lot to me because it's a celebration of how far we've come as a community, just bringing everyone together and just showing that we're not alone in this terrible journey. Terrible sometimes. And it's also a great way to recognise research that's going on for different trials, for different cures at the moment, which is really exciting. But yeah, I have really enjoyed celebrating with all my friends online, so thank you so much for all your support as always, and keep flying the LGMD flag and keep raising awareness all year round. This is the kind of attitude we want to see, this is the kind of positivity we want to keep channeling. Also very recently was a big thing for me, it was a big event. It was the social media conference Cymru in Wales. So Cymru is Wales, if you guys don't know, in Welsh. And it was a massive social media conference full of people working in the digital marketing, social media world. And I did 2 talks. I did one in English and one in Welsh about a newbie's guide to mastering content creation. And it was honestly such a pinch me moment because I've always been passionate about social media and content creation and looking into analytics and the way that different platforms work, like that really interests me. So to be able to talk about that in a room full of people either eager to learn or just as nerdy as me about these kind of things was just absolutely amazing and definitely a highlight for me this year. So I want to thank the Social Media Conference Cymru team at Libra Agency for just trusting in me and believing in what I have to say. So it was absolutely amazing, and I have posted about it online, so definitely check that out if you missed the content, because I was a bit insufferable on that day, and it was actually on LGMD Awareness Day, so it was a very busy day for me. I'm sipping my coffee as we go along, but today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I know we've delved into some deep topics recently. We've spoken about a lot of deep things and gotten real about a lot of different subjects, but I thought I loved hearing everyone's stories on LGBT Awareness Day, and I know that we all have really funny stories when it comes to disability mishaps or just funny stories and anecdotes to share, and this community is absolutely amazing because yesterday, just 24 hours ago, I put up a story on my Instagram and a post on Facebook saying, does anyone have a funny disability story that they want to share? And the response has been absolutely incredible. I've had so many different stories come through. I haven't even had a chance to read them all out before today. I'm excited to read them all out together with you guys and to react to them. I'm going to keep them all anonymous, and if there are any names mentioned, I've changed all the names so that they're fake. But yeah, I have absolutely loved this idea, and I'm really hoping this works out now, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I've shared a lot of my funny anecdotes throughout this podcast, like times I've been in a club and people don't believe me, or times that I've fallen over in a really awkward way, or times that I've been challenged for not looking disabled and things like that. So I thought I'd pass the mic on to the disability community today, and these are some hilarious stories. I think it's really important to laugh at ourselves, to have some humour when it comes to having a disability, because like I said, it can suck sometimes. So this is going to be great to kind of lighten the mood, and also maybe some of you guys will be able to relate to it. So let's go. We're starting off with one that is short and sweet. The other day I had my friend on my lap because she couldn't walk in her shoes. Bad idea to start with. But we hit a bump and we both fell out of my chair. I can imagine that is hilarious and painful at the same time. I love offering for my friends to sit on my lap in the wheelchair. It's quite funny, but that's usually after a couple drinks. But that is absolutely hilarious, and I hope you're okay. Okay, the next story. I was once at a busy brunch spot. As my friends and I were walking out, I have LGMD, but I'm still ambulatory. One of my friends accidentally stepped on the back of my shoe, causing me to misstep and trip. Of course, my body immediately goes into panic and I grab onto the nearest thing in front of me. I end up grasping onto someone sitting on the table next to me as I was walking/tripping. I held onto this poor man's neck, and the worst part was that he was bald, and I guess my brain registered that his bald head and neck was a stairwell post. Thankfully, I regained my balance by holding on, and I said sorry and continued walking. He just said glad I could help and laughed as I walked. He was definitely not expecting for someone to have a deathly grip on his neck that morning. Oh, bless you. I hate that. Honestly, when you trip, you honestly grab anyone and anything that's near you, even if it is a bald man's neck. Okay, next one. Back in college around 2017, I was out at a bar drinking way too much, which was basically tradition. I stumble outside, seeing triple when my left leg suddenly gives out. Been there. I tried to stand up, but there is zero power coming from the hips. My friend takes one look at me like, yeah, he's cooked, sits me on a stoop and heads back to the house. An hour later, I decide I'm good to make a mile walk home. Mile! Spoiler, I was not good. A quarter mile in, boom, flat on my ass. I crawl to someone's front steps, pull myself up and keep moving. About 3/4 of the way back, boom again, same drill. I finally get 1 block away from the house, legs completely shot, still seeing quadruple, and I go down hard one more time. Oh my goodness, that's so many falls. I drag myself up the front steps like that Wolf of Wall Street scene. I know exactly the one. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up on the living room floor with a headache, dead legs, and a stomach in ruins. Oh my goodness, bless you. That sounds terrible, and like honestly my worst nightmare. If I go out and have a drink, like I'm really aware, like I need to make sure that I'm not going to be in that kind of state. I can only imagine that you've learnt from this experience, and I really hope that hasn't happened to you again. Wow, okay, next one. I once got invited to watch the England rugby team train, and I was going towards the pitch in a wheelie because it was easier to go on the grass turf that way, and one of the players called me a show-off. I mean, that's kind of a claim to fame, right? That you've like had an interaction with one of the rugby players. I don't know. But that is a flex though. I'm still learning how to do a wheelie, to be honest. It looks really hard and it looks like something you really need to engage your core with. I don't know. Give me some tips, guys. Just doing a quick coffee break again. Okay, let's move on. These are interesting. Okay. Once I went to a visitation for my friend's dad who passed away. The building was old with only stairs to enter in front. So we were informed that the handicap entrance was in the back. First of all, I'm thinking, do I want to enter a funeral home through the back door? Well, we go around back and I had to enter through the garage where the hearse was parked. Garage floor was dirty, so that's an ew right there. We proceeded through the garage and to the back door, and there is an elevator. I thought, great, this is perfect. Then I realised the elevator was the shape of a casket or gurney. I could see the basement walls. I said to my hubby, please press the right button to go up. I surely don't want to end up in the basement with a corpse. It was crazy. We go up maybe half a flight to get to the viewing room, and then we had to go through a plastic accordion type doorway which was super noisy and the latch was kind of stuck. We entered almost directly behind my friend's dad's casket where there were tons of people waiting in line to pay their respects. It was awful. Another friend rode down the elevator with me so that my hubby could drive the car around the back. We were petrified of pressing the wrong button and going all the way to the basement. We couldn't stop laughing and we were trying not to, since there was probably someone's loved one lying on a gurney waiting for their turn to be viewed by family and friends. This was one of my most memorable mishaps. Needless to say, it was embarrassing, humiliating and horrifying. It was funny at the same time. They're things we have to do. Wow. I can surely say on behalf of all of us listening that that is a unique experience that we can't relate to. And maybe that's for the best, but wow, that is absolutely crazy. I actually can't believe that. That entry was actually by Karen Cole from the LGMD community, who said that I can use her name if I want to because she's all about spreading LGMD awareness, especially if she can find humour in it. And I definitely agree. So thank you, Karen, for sharing that. That's definitely a unique experience that I wouldn't wish on anyone, actually. That sounds horrible, but also hilarious. Like, it's one of those times where you really want to laugh, but you really shouldn't. Okay, strap yourselves in for another one. Life is absurd, so you might as well laugh. Ooh, this one has a title. Okay. On the way home from a trip, I was determined to have tea from my favourite shop. This, however, would mean a pit stop on the way home for a pee break, because what goes in must comes out, obviously. This bathroom break is no easy task for me, and most especially my hubby, as a non-walking, wheelchair-dependent human. We made it as far as the Cove, and it was time to find a facility. There is a brand new rest stop there, and so we figured they would have family washrooms that would easily fit me, my chair, and my husband. Turns out, no they didn't. With lineups out the bathroom, which contained a row of stalls, there was no clearing the women's bathroom, so my husband could accompany me. So we moved on down the road to another facility. They had a family bathroom, mercifully. We discovered, though, that just because you can easily fit a machine and 2 people into a bathroom doesn't mean the reverse of that will be easy. Oh no, here we go. Once my tea was out of my system, we then realised that the grab bar was back too far and there was a giant toilet paper holder at the end of the bar, preventing me from being able to use it at all. Additionally, my husband's range of motion for pulling me up was obscured by the sink, which was too close to the toilet. So here we are, for what seemed like an eternity, we tried to figure out how we were going to manoeuvre me to get back into the chair without my husband putting his back out or dropping me in the process. After a few failed attempts, I was standing, holding on to the arm of my chair with my pants down, my husband jammed between a wall and the toilet, but then we discovered I had nothing to hold on to so that I could let go of my chair in order for it to be moved behind me so that I could actually sit in it. That sounds so, awkward. Oh my goodness. Once the dawn of realization hit that my husband was stuck up against the wall and that I was stranded in the middle of the floor with my pants around my knees and there was no way to get me in the chair, I look at my husband and he looks at me and we just both burst out laughing. We immediately started wondering how we would be found. Found? Oh no. Should we do a Jack and Rose pose where my wheelchair is the iceberg? Or perhaps the pose of the protector and the protected as those found in Pompeii? How would we get word out to our daughter just to start the car and head on home without us? Perhaps we should just call out for help. With each outlandish idea, we laugh harder and harder. We do crack ourselves up, which is very important, and I can imagine in that situation you would feel really helpless and just, you have to laugh. I'm finally able to wiggle my toes and fingers enough times to, quote, walk my way down to the sink. It took 30 minutes to hold on, push my wheelchair back, free my husband, get the clothes on, and get seated. Oh my goodness, 30 minutes. I wash my hands, but the sink is soaking wet, and when the automatic taps kick in, I find out why. Water spray shoots out and soaks me, my shirt, and my face. The hand dryer isn't working, so I have to use toilet paper to dry my hands. Oh no. As we were exiting the bathroom, I am beet red from the heat and physical exertion, and so is my husband. We both have tears streaming down our faces from laughing, and now I'm completely soaked with bits of toilet paper still stuck to my hands. As we... Sorry. I can just imagine the absolute mess and the absolute chaos. As we make our way past the shop staff, there is a bewildered hush as they could most definitely hear the ruckus in the bathroom. And I flash a big smile at the young, pimply-faced teen whose jaw hits the ground at the sopping, dishevelled mess that I am. And I wink at him as I fix my crazy hair and I simply say, well, that was fun. With no other explanation, I wheel right on out the door. Making people wonder is a gift. Wow, what a story. That sounds like an absolute nightmare. That sounds like chaos. And I actually can't believe that happened. Bless you both. Oh my goodness, the patience you guys must have had is insane. Well done. Wow. And I love that because I think people can easily assume that there are other things going on in that bathroom. But there very definitely wasn't. And that is the reality behind being a wheelchair user and needing the bathroom with someone's help. Another little coffee break is needed after that. Wow. Okay. Moving on. Someone said, "Hi Cerys, great podcast idea. I have several stories over almost 50 years since diagnosis, but probably one of the funniest happened back in the 90s. A friend and I went to the movies to a small theatre in Ithaca, New York. At that time, I could walk with a walking cane, but had a hard time getting up from a chair, especially those folding ones in the theatre. After the movie finished, we waited for people in my row to leave before getting up, to avoid getting bumped by someone and possibly falling down. Real, relatable. It took a while for me to be able to get up, and then when I finally did, the lights were suddenly turned off in the theatre and we were in the dark. We walked to the entrance hall, only to find ourselves completely alone and locked inside the theatre. We didn't know what to do. We didn't have a cell phone at that time, and we couldn't find a regular phone anywhere. We were laughing and really scared at the same time, discussing whether we could survive on popcorn until the next day. After yelling for a while and knocking on the door without anyone answering, we decided to try the emergency exit. We pushed the door and fortunately it worked. We didn't hear an alarm, but we were afraid that if an alarm did sound anywhere else, we might be taken for burglars breaking in. We got out of there as fast as my LGMD legs allowed. So not very fast then. I'm joking. The moral of the story is, if you have LGMD and you walk slowly, don't be the last to leave a theatre. Oh, bless you. That's so sad. Wait, so the theatre closed because you were too slow to leave the theatre? That's humbling. That's so sad. But also hilarious as well. Wow, there was no care for disabilities or anything like that. The least they could have done before shutting the theatre room is to just give the room a quick scan, you know, see if there's anyone still there. That is hilarious. So thank you for sharing. That was great. I'm going to read out 2 more stories, so bear with me. This next one is kind of long, but it's cute because it sounds like a first date kind of situation. Okay, someone said, I do have a very funny story I would like to share. So let's go. A couple of months ago, I went on a first date with a guy that I really liked. We were talking and having fun on DM. So it finally happened, the date. We arranged to meet on Friday at a place I really like because it's very big and accessible. Usually before going out somewhere, I look for the accessibility of the place, but since I already knew the place, honestly, I didn't worry too much. However, I didn't think about the possibility of rain, so they sat us at a table inside a palapa, but in order to get in, we had to go down some steps without a railing. Because it was a first date and a friend we have in common introduced us, we came separate ways. So I was kind of relieved that he was not going to see me use the stairs in a funny way and make a bad or different first impression. Completely real, I get that. So the date was happening, we were having a fantastic chat and we were laughing. Honestly, we felt chemistry. I honestly don't like to talk about my condition on the first date, but I do give some hints about me having some issues and how much I struggle to ask for help. So long story short, we had 2 drinks, but I didn't think that in order to go to the bathroom, I needed to use those horrible stairs. So I try not to think about going to the bathroom. Later, we kissed and I was so happy, and then we kept talking until I couldn't anymore. I was really thinking of having an accident rather than asking for help. I didn't pay any attention to him and I started to hesitate that I didn't want to embarrass myself. So I finally got some courage and said, remember how I said that I struggle asking for help? Well, I need it right now. I want to go to the bathroom, but I can't use the stairs. Can you help me? He looked at me, laughed and said, yes, of course. So he took my arm and helped me through the stairs and into the bathroom. And to my surprise, I didn't feel bad and I really enjoyed his good heart. Then he took my arm and we went back to our places. That day, I used an umbrella, like a cane, just for precaution. I like that. And now that although it was a first date, we had some physical touch. I was also kind of waiting for the kiss in order to ask for help because I thought, at least, well, he likes me for me. I like that though. That's a good point. Then, back in our places, we kept talking. The date lasted like 6 hours. Whoa. I went super late back to my house, but it was so worth it. We kept talking, and on another date, he also gave me his arm and helped me a lot. He is such a gentleman. I love that. Wait, that's actually so sweet. I actually found that more like really sweet than funny, but I'm really glad that you had a good experience on a first date because, like you said, you know, a lot of people aren't comfortable talking about their conditions on the first date. But just the fact that you had casually mentioned something and it turned into him being able to really help you out, that's just amazing. And I hope it works out between you guys because he sounds like a keeper. And I love that you waited for him to kiss you first so that you could figure out whether he actually liked you, and then you told him about your condition and that you needed help. And I'm very proud of you for asking for help because that can be really difficult, especially if it's someone you really like and you really want to like get on well with, and for them not to see you differently. But you didn't let that stop you, and I mean eventually until you were about to wet yourself, but I do that a lot as well. I really stall going to the bathroom just because I can't face it sometimes, but I'm very proud of you. Okay, one last story, guys, and I have changed the name for anonymity purposes. We went out for tacos, Molly, her husband, and I. When we got home, her husband left to go to his dad's. Molly always has to piggyback me up the stairs to get into her house. So she squats down and I get on her back, and for some reason we can't control our laughter and Molly can't stand up because she's laughing so hard. But because I was so low to the ground, I couldn't stand back up either. So I kid you not, we were sitting like that for a few seconds trying to calm down and we just burst out laughing again. I'm going to pee my pants on her, so I roll off the ground onto the ground in her garage and we just laugh it out. I didn't pee my pants, but I was very close to it. We didn't even have margaritas. It was just a really good, funny day. All in all, she got me up and carried me into her house after all the laughs were out. I love that. I love having a friend that just knows you so well that, you know, they can just carry you around. And laughing is terrible. If you're trying to like stay strong and not be like all weak and uncontrollable, laughing is the worst thing. So that's so cute. That's so sweet. It's a funny story where you just kind of like accept the defeat and you just need to laugh it out. The same person also shared another little anecdote. Also, one night in college, my friend was convinced she could piggyback me up these narrow fraternity house stairs, and she did, but tripped at the top of the stairs and we flew forward and my head put a hole in the wall. What? You must have flown. Wow. And I hope you didn't have to pay too much for that damage. I hope that there was some kind of like disability like cover. I actually have a similar story where I went mini golfing with my friends for my friend's birthday, and there was a lift in there. Weirdly, there wasn't a lift to get into the actual place. So I had to climb up loads of stairs just to get there. But then during the golf course, there was supposed to be a lift, but when we got there, it wasn't working. And by then I'd had a drink or two, so I knew I was a bit wobbly. So my friend, who's really strong, offered to carry me up the stairs. And this is not her first time. She's climbed me up some stairs before. But by the time we got to the top, she put me down so low, too low that I couldn't get back up. And I fell backwards and I whacked my head on a stair, not the flight of stairs that we had just come up, because that would have been crazy if I'd fallen back down the stairs. She kind of turned around so that she was facing the stairs and dropped me, and I fell backwards and I hit my head on a step that was on the floor, and it was really painful, but like surprisingly I was okay. I really was worried that I was going to get a concussion, but I was fine. I think we can all relate to funny stories like those, and I think just having these kind of stories just really lifts the mood and just makes us feel a bit better about being able to laugh at ourselves sometimes. And, you know, we're all human. No one's perfect, and we all have our silly little moments. But I really appreciate you guys sharing your stories. It's been an absolute ride to just be able to have a glimpse into your funny little mishaps and just crazy stories. I mean, I had no idea what I was expecting when I was reading out these stories, but I was not let down for sure. So I really appreciate you guys sending in your stories. If you do have more, please let me know. Please keep them coming. I really, really enjoyed them. I hope you guys enjoyed listening, and I hope that we can maybe do a part 2 sometime if you guys are interested. I think it's really nice to just break up the episodes sometimes and just throw in a funny one or two. I would love to know what you guys thought of this episode. There will be a little Q&A box underneath this episode asking what you guys thought, or on YouTube. Obviously, there's the comment section, so please comment and let me know what you thought. And please let me know if you have any topics you'd like me to discuss. I've been doing this podcast for about 2.5 years now, and I would love your insight. I would love your input. I would love to know what you guys are interested in hearing more about. And obviously, you know, you guys are the ones listening to it, so I want to make sure that I'm giving you the content that you want. So please feel free to message me anytime. Thank you so much to Cure LGMD2I for sponsoring this episode, who have actually just announced very exciting news that the save the date is out for the European LGMD2I conference. So if you have LGMD2I and you are maybe able to come to Europe next year, I would absolutely love to see you there. It will be May 22nd to the 23rd, 2026 in Denmark. It will be great to see you there. Like I've said before, conferences are like the best things ever, and you learn so much and meet so many people, and it's absolutely amazing. So of course I'll be vlogging that when the time comes, but I'm hoping to do some more YouTube videos in the time being, especially with this change in season. I need something to help me get through it. So I'm going to document it a bit more when I come back from my sunny holiday. But for now, I'm going to go enjoy my holiday in Gran Canaria, and I will speak to you guys very soon. Love you all. Bye.